Hi, my name is Kaitlyn Stevens, and I'm a senior biomedical engineering major at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. Today, I'll be giving a presentation on fenugreek leaves. Specifically, I'll be discussing the history and culture of food, the nutrient composition, the food's relationship to disease, how to determine if the food is fresh and of high quality, and how it relates to agriculture. Then I will be discussing a dish in which I ate, where fenugreek leaves were utilized. This dish is called chicken tikka masala. I will talk about how it's prepared, what it tasted like, and finally, I will compare my own social and cultural perspectives to what I have learned. Fenugreek is an herb which is mainly grown in the Mediterranean, but has also historically been found in Asia, and it is considered one of the oldest known herbs. In the days of ancient Egypt and India, as well as the days of the Greeks and the Romans, the seeds were used for things such as making yellow dyes for wool, and ancient physicians even found that it contained a lot of mucilage, which is a substance that contains a lot of protein and polysaccharides. Fenugreek leaves then became a common ingredient to use for health properties. It was eventually used for helping wounds heal, as an aid for arthritis, and to help out with digestive problems. Chinese herbalists even used it to help with kidney problems or for male reproductive issues. Other than that, it was also simply used as a spice for foods. Fenugreek leaves were even used in the religious rituals of ancient Egypt, as the leaves would be burned and used along with incense. The ancient Egyptians also used fenugreek leaves as a way to mummify bodies. In the 19th century, fenugreek began to be used as a method to help with common ailments that may affect women, such as maybe aiding them during childbirth. In the more modern era, fenugreek leaves are mainly used in the culinary world for things such as confectionaries due to the maple flavor, a component in chili powder, and as an augmentation for meats and vegetables. Despite the main use being for culinary purposes, fenugreek has also been utilized as a way to manage things such as diabetes, to help treat body weakness and even anorexia, and to increase breast milk production. Overall, fenugreek leaves are a very versatile herb which has been utilized throughout the ages. Fenugreek leaves are also a very healthy herb for many reasons. They are super low in calorie, as they come in at only 49 calories per 100 grams of raw leaves. They are also very low in fat, but they provide a great source of things such as fiber and cholesterol. Fenugreek leaves are also able to provide many vitamins, such as C, A, and E, whilst they're also able to serve as a great source for antioxidants and minerals, such as calcium, iron, magnesium, and potassium. The relationship to disease for fenugreek leaves is a very strong one, and this is because they have been commonly used for the treatment and prevention of things such as diabetes, hypertension, cardiovascular disease, and even cancer. This is because they are able to provide certain therapeutic effects like pain relief, with their anti-diabetic properties, able to provide anti-inflammation, can serve as laxatives, also are able to increase sexual desire, have triglyceride lowering properties, and oxytocin properties. This is mainly due to the fact that fenugreek leaves, in themselves, are composed of medicinal alkaloids, steroidal compounds, and sapogens. Of those compounds, trigonal, which is featured in the photo to the right, is the most important metabolite of the fenugreek leaf, as that property in itself is able to treat diabetes, as well as decrease cholesterol, and even is able to fight things such as cancer and migraines. The steroid component, though, of fenugreek leaves comes from something called diethynine. When it comes to fenugreek, there are two main ways that it can be consumed, being either in the leaves form or in the seed form. For leaves, they can be stored for at least 6 months in a freezer, but only at most of 1 month in just the refrigerator. Otherwise, humidity and warm storage conditions will rapidly reduce its shelf life. After the 6-month mark for the leaves being frozen, or the 1-month mark of it being refrigerated, these leaves will no longer be considered fresh and should be thrown out and not consumed. When it comes to seeds, whole seeds can stay fresh for up to 3 years if they are kept in an airtight container and are away from sunlight. If these seeds have been ground up, they're typically only good for a few months, maybe 2-3 at most. To ensure that the seeds are of the highest quality, It is important to make sure and check them for little stones, as sometimes in the collection process they can get mixed in. These stones can be washed out, but ideally seeds that have the least amount of these stones are seen as being of the higher quality. When it comes to growing fenugreek plants, it is noted that they need full sunlight and cool temperatures to grow. As a result, they are more commonly grown in the spring in areas that have warmer climates, but they can be grown all summer in places where maybe the summers are a little bit more mild. It is also noted that fenugreek plants can also grow indoors in a container as well. When these plants grow, they can reach about 50 centimeters in height. They have a single stem with leaves that come in 3 oblong leaflets that stem from a center. They can also grow pale or white flowers, which are pollinated by using insects. It is relatively easy to be able to find fenugreek seeds to grow, as they are sold in a lot of stores. Fenugreek plants are also relatively drought resistant, but they will need constant watering during periods which are more dry when they are first planted in the soil. Fenugreek leaves also require that weeds are removed frequently, as they are not good at competing for moisture and other nutrients. Overall, they are described as being relatively easy to tend to. When it came to the dish that I chose that utilized fenugreek leaves, I ended up going with chicken tikka masala, which is shown in the photo below. The sauce is actually what utilizes the fenugreek leaves. It can be seen in the photo as that red. I ended up going with this because it is an Indian dish that was recommended to me by my family, and I ended up being able to get the dish from a place called Tandoori Indian Kitchen, which is located in Knoxville. Listed below is a recipe that I found on Food Network for making chicken tikka masala, and I would imagine what Tandoori Indian Kitchen utilized was probably pretty similar to this recipe. To make the chicken marinade, you end up needing 1 1/4 cup of whole milk yogurt, a tablespoon of grated ginger, 4 teaspoons of kosher salt, a teaspoon of red chili powder, a teaspoon of gram masala, and a teaspoon of black pepper. Then you need 1/4 teaspoon of ground turmeric, 2 grated garlic cloves, and 8 boneless, skinless chicken thighs. For the sauce, which is the ingredient that actually contains the fenugreek leaves, you need 4 tablespoons of ghee, 1 large sliced onion, 2 serrano chilies, kosher salt, 1 tablespoon of grated ginger, 4 garlic cloves, 2 teaspoons of dried whole fenugreek leaves, 2 teaspoons of garam masala, 1 teaspoon of red chili powder, 28-ounce whole peeled tomatoes, and 1/4 cup heavy cream. Optional as well is the addition of something such as basmati rice or maybe even some pita bread. From that same recipe from the Food Network, I was able to find that for the chicken marinade, it can be best prepared by whisking together all the yogurt, ginger, salt, chili powder, the garam masala, pepper, turmeric, and garlic in a large bowl until it's fully combined. Then you just toss the chicken in with the yogurt marinade until it's coated, wrap it in a plastic wrap, and refrigerate it for at least 3 hours and up to 24. For the sauce, you start with melting the ghee into a large Dutch oven or over a heavy pot with medium heat. Add onions and serrano, season with the 1 tablespoon of salt and cook, stirring occasionally until onions are golden and are able to caramelize, which typically takes about 8 to 10 minutes. Then you add the ginger and garlic to cook, and you stir until it's very fragrant and the ginger starts to turn golden and stick to the bottom, which typically takes about 2 to 3 minutes. Then the fenugreek leaves are added, as well as the garam masala, the chili powder, and paprika to cook until it's very fragrant, which again takes about a minute. Then you add the tomatoes and break them up into pieces with a spoon and then bring to a boil. Reduce the heat and then simmer uncovered while stirring occasionally until the sauce has been reduced by half and the tomatoes are very tender. Overall, that process is about 30 minutes then. Then go ahead and let the sauce cool and then transfer to a blender to allow it to go ahead and get blended up. And then add in the 1/4 heavy cream puree until it is creamy. Pour into the clean pot and begin to simmer. Then add some more of that salt. At the same time, then go ahead and put the chicken into a single layer on a rack. Broil until the chicken is brown in spots, which takes about 3 to 6 minutes per side. This does not cook it all the way through. Then remove from the boiler. When the When it is cool enough to handle, then cut it into 1-inch long pieces and add it into the simmering sauce, and then you cook and cover until the chicken is cooked through, which takes about 8 to 10 minutes. Then, just for a serving note, you can go ahead and top the chicken sauce with cilantro, and then if wanted to be, can serve the overall dish with rice. Overall, I had a very great experience with this dish. I really enjoyed the taste of it. Overall, when it came to consuming the taco masala, which is what the fenugreek was truly in, I found that the taste of the sauce was sweet and kind of zesty. There wasn't too much spice, given that might have just been how Tandoor prepared it, but I found it was very flavorful and overall added a lot to the chicken that was in there. I also had mine served with basmati rice, which I mixed into the sauce, and I found that was just a great additive flavor. Sometimes after eating Indian food, I can get heartburn and everything along those lines, but after consuming this, I did not experience that, which I definitely enjoyed. So definitely will be something I try again. When it comes to how different cultures maybe consume this dish, specifically in Indian culture, often the dish is served with naan bread, which is seen to the photo on the right. Whenever I consumed the dish, it also had naan bread as well. But something that they specifically do is they'll actually go ahead and dip the naan bread into the sauce, just to kind of give it that added flavor. Specifically, if the sauce is made with a little bit more spice, having the naan bread can kind of serve as a way to undercut that spice and make it a little bit less zesty overall. When it comes to comparing my background and where I come from with the other cultures and stuff that I've been able to learn about through eating this dish and learning about it, I think it's very interesting. Prior to coming into this, fenugreek was something that I really had never had, and I'd really honestly never heard of before, and that's pretty surprising to me. This is maybe due to the fact that with my southern background, Mediterranean herbs and things along those lines are not something that I have much experience with, as they weren't something that was commonly used in dishes that I grew up in. Therefore, something like fenugreek is not something that was very common for me to come across. Even with that being said, my family wasn't that prone to go and eat at places like Indian restaurants, as we were more common to stick to things like Cracker Barrel or just various other chains, which are more Americanized. As a result, again, this makes it a little bit less likely for me to have encountered something like fenugreek. Overall, though, I have learned that I do enjoy having a dish that's more tied together by just the sauce and not the seasonings on the other items. Typically, when it comes to dishes that I've consumed in the past, they pretty much are made by the fact that maybe the steak or something has a certain seasoning on it or is prepared in a certain thing or anything along those lines. But this was one of my first times, I think, having an experience with something that literally is tied together and is like the quote unquote the dish is made by just the sauce altogether. Overall, I would say this was a very awesome experience, and this is definitely a dish I will be consuming again, and if not, trying more of dishes like it at places like Tandoor. Here are the various references that I use in order to find the information that I discussed here today. Thank you guys so much for listening to my presentation, and I hope you've learned something about fenugreek leaves, and maybe as a result, this is a dish that you'd like to try yourself. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful day.